Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, when Torchlight 3 came out with the Snow and Steam patch, uh, update patch, call it whatever you want, I made a video where I tried to give my first and honest impressions on how the what the changes in the game were and how it will affect my gameplay, especially because the when I started playing Torchlight 3 when it came out. I chose to play as a forged character, and most of the changes, at least from what I was able to see, uh, were directed towards the forged gameplay. Right, changing how it plays, changing how the skills work. They changed the whole heat steam system and everything. So for me, it was particularly interesting to see if they really fixed some stuff that I thought that needed fixing. Mm. Uh, I made a couple of statements in that video, and I said that I wasn't particularly happy with the changes, that I didn't think that what they did was really a good direction in which to move the character, and I wasn't really happy, especially about the fact that they did not change what to me it seemed was the main issue with the whole gameplay, and not just I think for the Forge character, but for all the other classes, and that's the fact that you can't actually change your relic once you create a character. So what you choose is what you're stuck with for the remainder of the play with this character. If you want to experiment with another relic, you have to create another character. And I also said that replayability wasn't that good, and there was no motivation for me at least to go ahead and level another one. Uh, well, that was around middle of December, and in the meantime, I decided to see if I can prove myself wrong. I thought that maybe I was just a little bit too quick to judge because I really didn't play the changes that much before I made my decision and made my conclusion. So uh, I decided to try and prove myself wrong on a couple of levels. First and foremost, I decided to level up another Forge character to see if I was right in saying that replayability was not that great, and then that actually having to level up a whole different character but with the same class would not be as interesting as it was, doing it the first time. I also wanted to see if the changes they made to the skill tree by introducing the new heat steam combination, because before that it was just the heat. I wanted to see if that was viable, and especially wanted to test if the character can be played as a melee character, because I've been playing Forged as a ranged character, because from my point of view the primary piece of equipment that you have in your Forged is actually the gun that you're carrying, and everything that I did was basically revolving on the around that chest gun, and all the other pieces of equipment were uh, second level, so to speak. I was just phasing it. I was concentrating on getting as good a gun as I could get, so that I could go into the skill tree and use the barrage skills as my primary skills. Uh, this character that you're looking at here now, Electro Bucket, is my original character. He's level 57. In the meantime, I also tried experimenting with this character on the Electrode Relic to see if it can be played as a melee character. So I've changed most of my skills from Barrage to Brawl. But on the new character, I chose the Blood Drinker Relic, and I decided to go full melee. And let me just load up the character for a second here and show you what I did. My new character is appropriately called the Blood Boiler. I'm guessing you know why. Uh, as you can see, I'm not using almost any barrage skills. I'm just using rapid fire. And this is just for specific situations where I'm unable to stay in melee for whatever reason. So for AoE damage or for something else, if I really want to put some distance between me and the enemies in the game. but this is just seldom used, so this is why I kept it just as a backup. I went instead full into Brawl. I chose Rapid Strike as my primary skill to deal damage and to build up heat. I chose, after some experimentation, to go with the Vortex Bomb as a heat sink. So this vents the heat and builds up the steam. And this in turn enables me to use Fracking Strike, which is a steam using skill. And this is also something that I experimented with when I started leveling this character. I didn't initially go with Fracking Strike. And I do mean initially, and I will explain that just a little bit later, because as you know, when you create a new character, not all of these are open to you. You can just use these first ones, then as you level up, these other ones open up, but there's a trick to it, and I'll get to it. As a movement skill, I chose Ramming Robot, and the rest I just ignored, right? I experimented a little bit with power projection. I found that it's not working really well with the layout that I was working on. I tried using Cyclone mode. It didn't turn out that well. Maybe at some point in the future, while I'm playing and leveling up, because I'm just level 51, I'm not still the end level. Maybe I will decide to respec and maybe drop these ramming robot skills and go into Cyclone mode and use that as a movement skill, because right now for my movement, that's the skill that I use to get out of the impossible situations. I use ramming robot. And this is maybe because I use this one on the original character too. I'm just used to it, so maybe I'm just being lazy. I don't know. But anyhow, I tried using uppercut, especially because I got some nice items that boosted this skill. But I find it very hard to use. It is very directional, and it is a single target skill. And in this game, you don't get many single target fights except for bosses. And even those have waves of enemies where single target skills are not that useful because you have to focus on the rest of the enemies. So I tried using it, then I decided at some point, maybe around the middle of the leveling game, that to just drop it and go in the direction of Rapid Strike, Ramming Robot, and Fracking Strike. For Relic, I chose the passive skills, these two, Energizer and Bloodletter. This one is a must, regardless of which relic you use, because for all relics, this skill here, in this placeholder, is going to be the one that's helping your relic build up power faster, so you really need this one. I chose this one to bleed the enemies for 50% of weapon damage, and I'll explain that just a little bit later. I went with Bloodseekers as my primary skill for keeping my health bar up. I went with the Living Barrier with the same idea, except here I also got a little bit of defense and a knockback, and I also got some secondary damage. And then I decided to experiment a bit with Drain, but the more I play, the more I'm convinced that maybe this Drain skill is really something that I'm not going to be using that much. Initially, I pictured it in my mind as something to get me out of the situations where my living barrier is on cooldown, my relic power has not been built up to the full, so that I can use Bloodseekers. So this one would basically drain everything around me and build up my health points. But it also has a drawback that once you use this, you're actually using your relic power, so it's adding to the time I'm needed to actually activate Bloodseekers. So I'm probably gonna drop this at some point, but right now I'm still using it for some situations. Now to clarify this passive here, for my items, to differ from my previous build, as difference from my Electrode build, I decided to focus a little bit more on everything else rather than just focusing on the gun. So gun here is pretty much secondary. I just use it to trigger my barrage skill from time to time. So it's the only thing that it's being used for. I'm focusing on my weapon, and I'm focusing on the combination of a two-handed weapon with more damage, and then single-handed weapon with a shield for some heavier situations where I want to stay alive longer. And the better damage you have, the better weapon you have, the more damage this skill is going to make, right? So 50% of weapon damage for 3 seconds for bleeding, that's a dot you're gonna leave. And this is really good because this damage can be done by using Rapid Strike. And Rapid Strike is an AoE skill. It will hit everything around you. Not in a full 360 degrees circle, but in a good cone in front of you, it will hit everything. And this skill is really fast. It's much faster than Rapid Fire. Also, Rapid Fire is single target, and this is AoE multiple targets from the start. On the paper, maybe individually, each of these hits does less damage than each of Rapid Fire's hits, but there's more of them and they're faster, and the amount of damage that builds up is much bigger than what you can get with Rapid Fire. And again, as I said, Rapid Strike will do damage, and the kind of damage it does is the one that is on your weapon. So for example, in this case, I'm wearing a weapon that has ice damage on it, so all my hits with Rapid Strike will be ice damage, and all of them can trigger Bloodletter, leaving a dot for 50% of my weapon damage for 3 seconds, which is really great. This one is pretty self-explanatory. These blood missiles are actually building up your health and keep you in your health up and up and up and up and up. And it's gotten to the point where I just really don't have to think about it. I just activate the skill and I can just stand in one place and hit stuff and stay alive for a very long interval of time. This brings me to one key difference, and one thing that I didn't notice my first time around, and that is the gold. So initially, when you play the game, you had a limit to an amount of gold that you can use. So you could basically get 20,000 golds across all your characters because this is shared. And once you hit 20,000 gold, you just would stop collecting the gold. So gold is very important. Gold is important for many things, but first and foremost, gold is used to buy potions, right? So you can carry 20 potions at any given time, and that's the maximum. If you don't have a skill that gets your health back up by doing some sort of damage, you're going to be using a lot of these, especially in boss fights, because maybe at some point later in the game when you're high level, and then you can start really fine-tuning your gear and working on your defenses, you can get your gear to the level where you can block fire, poison, electric, ice damage, everything that they can throw at you, to an amount that will cause you to lose significantly less health than before that moment. But while you're leveling and when you just start playing the end game, you're gonna get hit for a lot of damage, and the way the dungeons are made, each of them is specific as to which sort of damage you're gonna get. So when you open a dungeon, right? Okay, Fazir, thank you. When you open up a dungeon, you can see in the upper left corner, so this one is going to be electric damage, this one is going to be fire damage, this one's going to be electric damage. Before going into a dungeon, you then want to fix your gear to build up the resistance to defense for that particular type of damage. And for this, you're going to need to fine-tune your gear a lot. And this is, of course, not something that can be done so easy once you just started playing endgame. So you're gonna die a lot, unless you have a skill that can bring your health back up. For Forged, from what I can see, there are two ways that you can heal yourself. So disregarding the relic right now. So here you have Cyclone, which will which has a 15% chance to heal 3% total health on hits, which is not so high, honestly. I mean, you're gonna hit a lot of mobs, yeah, okay, but still, not every hit is gonna bring back your health, and when it does, it'll just be 3%, and believe me, 3% is not that much, especially when you get into higher levels, because you're gonna have a lot of health on your hands, and 3% is barely enough to allow you to escape from a situation. Not enough, at least from what I was looking at during leveling, to keep you alive. And also is one of the reasons why I decided not to go with Cyclone mode. The other skill you can use is this power projection. This power projection can heal you for 15% of your total health once you trigger it. That's a fixed amount. It only happens when you trigger it, and then you have to wait for the next for the cooldown to come off, and then you have to trigger it again. You need to spend some heat to do it. Again, it's very situational, and it's not something that will keep you alive all the time constantly. I was unable to find any other skill here in these two main branches that can keep you alive by regenerating your health on hits. So unless you have Blood Drinker Relic, you're going to use a lot of potions. And I will show you just how that looks in a short fight later on. But basically you can count for each boss fight. You're going to be spending somewhere between 10 and 15 potions. Okay, granted, at some point in the future, it might not be that big, but while you get there, it's going to be really frustrating, and it's going to turn you off from playing the game, because you're going to be stuck in a loop where you're trying to do some progression, but you're losing bleeding money all the time because you're spending a lot of money on buying potions, and each of these potions costs 80 gold. 80 gold times 20 potions, that's 1,600 golds just to fill up your potions. And that is not the only thing you're going to need the gold for. Another gold sink here are the enchants. So every time you make an enchant, so each of these enchantments has several possible outcomes. So when you choose to enchant a piece of gear, you do not know really which of these four that you're looking at is gonna happen, right? So if the wrong one happens, so you say you want to enchant this, and you try enchanting, and you get the one that you didn't want to, you're gonna have to disenchant your gear. And to disenchant your gear, for the green gear, it costs 500. For the blue gear, it costs, let me show you just a second. For the blue gear, it's gonna cost you 750, right? So if you have some bad luck, you're gonna need a lot of attempts just to get the enchant that you want. You're gonna need a lot of gold just to experiment for this piece of gear. And you want to enchant, I mean, probably there are people who will say that it doesn't pay to enchant the gear at this level because you're gonna change this gear fast, but trust me, every boost that you can get in the game counts to help you level up more easily, so to progress more easily. So you should be using these enchantments, and that's gonna cost you money, but you're spending money on potions, so you're gonna be stuck in that loop. Let me see what else there was. Okay, so back to the subject. I leveled this character up partially because I wanted to prove myself wrong that leveling another character of the same class from the beginning of the game was boring, and I have to say that I managed to prove myself wrong. And honestly, I'm not sure. This is maybe due to the fact that this time around I understood the class much better, and I was able to play with my skills and my gear much better than I was able to do that in the first time that I was leveling up. So maybe that added another layer of fun to this to me. But third time round, I don't think so. I wouldn't really I wouldn't really want to do this for the third and the fourth relic. Okay, so it was also much faster because I was able to use some of the gear that I saved from my first run here, because this share stash enables me to save the gear that I found, and my other characters can use this. And this helped me also level up a bit faster. But the biggest speed bust that I got, speed boost, was the fact that I changed the relic. Blood Drinker just keeps you alive, and you can just go through content with this Blood Drinker. I really encountered just a couple of situations where I had to uh, react quickly in order not to die, and I really died way less than I did when I was using the Electrode. And I don't think it has much to do with the skill of me as a player. I think it has very much to do with the fact that this relic combined with this character and this skill tree is really a powerful combination, right? Uh, I don't think it would have been as effective if I had used Barrage, and that brings me to the second point of proving myself wrong. Yeah, Forged can be played melee. It can be played melee, and it's a very effective character to play melee. In fact, I could almost say that it's almost boring because there are situations where you're just going to be sitting there, you're going to be hitting with Rapid Strike, not moving, and then periodically activating these Blood Seekers or Living Barrier just to keep you alive, maybe move a little bit to step out of some of the AoE that you do not have currently the defense for. But other than that, you're not going to be moving around much. When I was playing Electrode, I had to run, I had to dodge, I had to use my movement skill a lot just to stay alive, because I was taking a lot of damage, and for that particular relic, this brawl skill tree did not work out as well. So yeah, okay, I proved myself wrong. Playing Forged as brawl is good, it's viable, it's a nice gameplay, but only with the Blood Drinker skill, so Blood Drinker relic. That's the only case where I can see this character viable as melee. Anything else, if you want to go melee, I don't think it's a good choice, personally. Which brings me to my last and third point, and that is the issue that I had with the actual relic and the fact that you can't really change the relic once you selected it for a particular character. And to me, this is still the biggest flaw in the game. So I should be able to select the character class, and then I should be able to change this relic so I can experience different play styles, different playthroughs. I don't want to level up 4 different characters just to see if maybe I was wrong about one relic or I was right about another relic, and so on and so forth. I understand why, or at least I think I understand why they did this, because they want to sort of push you to play the game more, right? They want to push you to create more characters. They want to push you to experience the game more. They don't want to keep you in the end game with just one, maybe 2 alts. They want to make you create many alts, you experiment with many builds, and they thought this would be interesting for the players. Personally, I don't think this was a good decision, and this is the one place where I didn't prove myself wrong. So I still think the only change this game right now needs, the biggest change this game right now needs, is the ability to change the relic. Without the ability to change the relic, nah. Uh, I'm honestly a little bit scared to try different classes with different relics now, when I know just how survivable and easy it is to play with Blood Drinker and the Brawl combination. So not to just keep this on just stock, let me just show you quickly the difference. Of course, you're gonna have to allow me a little difference here, because this character is level 51, right? So it's a lower level than my original character, and I still have not progressed as far in dungeon than I did with the other characters. So I'm gonna try and do. I'm gonna do level 9 with this one. And let's choose one of these. Boom Boom. Yeah, fine. Also, the pet thing is really annoying. I mean, I have to send my pet to town every time I want to start a dungeon. Otherwise, it's not going to be summoned, and then I can't really summon it inside the dungeon, and that's really one bug they need to fix as soon as possible. Anyway, let's send let's send the pet to town, and I will show you just how easy it is to play the Blood Drinker. Just find something to fight, huh? Oh, look at this. Look at the numbers on this one.
It's trapped.
Alright, here we go. So now I'm taking damage. I'm just gonna activate my skill. And look at this now. My health is not moving. I'm not using any potions. I'm gonna build up my relic a little bit now. So while I'm doing that, I'm gonna use my other skill just to keep me alive a little bit. And now I'm gonna trigger the relic. If you're looking at my health bar, you'll notice it's pretty much not moving at all. Right? And okay, so I can just clean this up. Okay, one more thing I'm gonna show you here. So this is, I'm gonna use the rapid fire skill, okay? Look at the numbers. 400, 400, a crit. Yeah, I can't even pick up this potion because I didn't use it. But look at, I'm now gonna use again my rapid strike. Look at the numbers now. This skill is much faster and it's doing a lot more damage, and it's AoE damage. It's hitting everything in front of me, where with the gun I'm just hitting one target and only that target. If I want to hit the other target, I have to aim at it. Here I can just bring them together and let them all have it. It takes a little bit of time, but Okay. So let's exit this dungeon now. Let's pick up whatever loot we have.
You can't carry anymore.
Again, I can't carry any more potions. Let's quit the dungeon. Leave. Okay, let's do the same thing with the old characters. So I'm gonna switch over to my electrode forged. And I've also tried retraiting this character to be melee, right? So if you look at the skill tree, I kept something from Barrage. I kept his pressure shot as a single target heal, single target, sorry, not heal, but attack skill, coal launch as vent skill, critical mass as vent skill, right? But I went with rapid strike again, and I went with vortex bomb, and I tried using this power projection. And the reason I'm using power projection is exactly what I was talking about earlier in the video. It's because it heals me for 15% when I trigger it. This is now a forged, which with electrodes as a relic, and it's gonna go brawl to a certain extent, right? Let's go to my fort. Let's start the dungeon. So this guy is 57. I am a little bit further down the line with Vizier, so I can do level 13, right? So it should be pretty much equivalent to what I was doing with my lower level character. Let's see what we have. A blazing, yeah, this one will do. Most monsters can blast a pattern of flame across the ground, right? Cool. Send the pet to town to sell something. Go into the dungeon. Okay. So here we are now.
Your pet has returned.
So right now I have 44 damage prevented from burning and 55% damage prevented for poison. This is all from defenses from my skill, from my gear, right? So let's see how I do in this situation. This one is a blazing dungeon, so there's a lot of fire here, but it's also undead, so there's gonna be a lot of poison as well. I'm gonna heal myself. I have to use a potion. Again, a potion. Again, a potion. And now I can trigger my relic for some extra damage. I have to get out of the fire. And I have to use a potion. Heal myself. Another potion. My pet has died, almost. Another potion. This is poison. Let's pick this gear up here, see what we got. And now we have a unique. Let's see how we do against the unique. And right away I have to get a potion because it's killing me. I can heal myself a little bit, but I'm losing a lot of health. Another potion. Let's do some ranged. can't wait for my relic to charge up, so I'm gonna have to use it right now because my damage is really low on this guy. Again, fire, so I have to move. Potion. Healing. That was stupid, but okay. Potion. Healing.
You can't do that here. Your pet has arrived.
Alright. I have a boss fight here, but I'm not sure. So I have 9 potions left. Let's try a boss. Let's try a boss just to see. I'm probably gonna die, but okay. And let's. Oh. Yeah, I probably should change this. No, okay, here we go. Straight from the start, AoE fire. A lot of damage. And my relic is not usable yet. I mean, I could use it, but to use another potion. Okay. Let's use a potion here. Heal myself with a skill. Another potion. Kill myself with a skill. Run away. Potion. I'll have to build up my relic again. Another potion.
Your health is low.
Activate the relic. It's not filled to the end, so it will last shorter. Heal with a skill. Potion. Another potion.
Your health is low.
Okay, heal with a skill. And now I'm down to my last potion. And chances of me surviving this right now are pretty low.
That spell cannot be
Because I have no more potions. I can heal myself a little bit with the skill. But I can try and kite these guys a little bit.
You can't cast it.
Get the relic working a little bit.
Your life is slipping away.
Heal myself with a skill a bit.
You are near death.
And I have died.
Your journeys are at an end.
I mean,
All is not lost. Just some.
I didn't necessarily have to die
Let's not
here.
focus on that.
Maybe I could have survived a bit, but you get the point here, right? So it this is way more difficult than if you're playing with a different relic. And on its own, I don't think this is really fair to players, right? Because it's putting whoever doesn't choose the appropriate relic in a very bad position. If you can't heal yourself, you're gonna run out of potions. If you run out of potions, these mobs, they didn't drop a single potion during the fight, so I couldn't pick up the potions. And this is something I noticed happening very often in dungeons instances, right? Levels. Maybe if I was able to pick up other potions during the fight, maybe I could have survived a little bit more easy. But I have to assume every time I start doing this that by the time I get to the boss, I will be stuck at, I don't know, like 50% or maybe in best case at 70% of my potions. Then I have to spend some gold, send my pet to town to buy potions, which is another great change they built in. They didn't have this before, but right now if you send the pet to town, you can basically tell your pet to buy the potions, which is cool. This is something that was available in the original Torchlight 2, and this does make your life a little bit easier, but still, you know, with the other relic, I didn't really have to do this at all. So basically, this is it. This is me showing you guys where I think I was wrong and where I think I was right. And the only thing that I really think I was right about was the fact that not being able to change the relic is really killing the gameplay for me right now. If they should change something right now in this game, I would really vote for the ability and the capability for players to select one character and then to select the relic, and if they don't like it, to choose for another relic, and then we can start discussing about the differences between one relic being way too overpowered and enabling you to survive much longer compared to another relic, but that's all secondary compared to the fact that you need to level up a whole new character only to learn this stuff, which is really bad. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.